My name is Josh, and this is the Built for Wealth podcast, a millennial's no BS guide to financial freedom. In this podcast, we are interviewing investors from all different spaces and backgrounds and gaining insights on just how they built their wealth through real estate that hopefully leaves you inspired to build yours. You can follow along at builtforwealthpodcast.com. And without further ado, we'll jump right into the show. Good deal. We've got Pete Russell in the house, ready to talk all things wholesaling, transaction funding. You're kind of like a wizard.
Anything, everything.
Yeah.
I'm down. I've seen a lot over the last 9 years. So yeah.
Good deal. Well, why don't you just catch us up to speed? Who were you before you started investing in real estate?
I was jumping around all over the place. I've worked for banking here in Charlotte. I was like a plumber's apprentice for a while. So I've crawled under houses. I've dug ditches. I've done that. It was like a family friend that had a small little plumbing operation.
Yeah.
Done some construction stuff with my dad. So banking, I've been in sales. I worked for Red Ventures, which is huge.
Wow.
In sales and marketing. And I think that helped me like cut my teeth with being on the phone and talking to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Just conversation after conversation after conversation. And I actually got my license back in 2011 and did like 2 deals with it. And I was like, I don't like this. This is too slow. This is too like boring. Like I just, it wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
So I just put that to the side and it's inactive. Right now I don't hang it anywhere. I don't use it. Mm-hmm. So a little big mix of a lot of things,
you've been all over the place.
And I'd like to travel some more, but yeah. I've done a few different things. I've also been a server in the restaurant industry, things like that too. So dabbled in a few things, but I think I found my mark in sales back when I started working at Red Ventures and did really well there. Worked there for about 3 years and climbed, like I was on the phones again, sales side of stuff.
What were you selling?
Energy. So different markets. I know here in North Carolina, you're like Duke or maybe like a small little co-op, but that's it, right? Mm-hmm. Like no option, anything like that. Yeah. But in other states, it's almost like a cable provider where you're like, hey, you can go to this person, that person, whoever has the better rate, running a special, whatever. So I did it at first just residential, mostly in Texas. They had contracts with these different companies to be like their sales side of it. So just signing people up for different plans and things like that. They would call in, get funneled to us. And then we're like, here's your options. Like, what do you want to go with? That sort of thing. And then did pretty well with that. So then they moved me over to the commercial side of it. Mm-hmm. So then you'd have like hospitals calling in and they're like, hey, we're paying such and such a kilowatt hour. Can you work with me on getting a better rate? So for them, it was the difference of thousands of dollars a week, right? So did that, went on some cool trips. This is like the heyday of Red Ventures where like everyone's like, I want to go work there and you can like win prizes, money, go on trips. Went on a few trips, did like a bunch of stuff there. Mm-hmm. And then that's when I found out about wholesaling while I was working there. So a guy I knew went to high school with, he was posting, I think it was Facebook Live. He's posting stuff about wholesaling real estate and just like so psyched. He was just like, oh, I got this house. He'd go live and he'd be like in a rundown house and like this house doesn't even have a door on it. And like, I'm going to make money on it, but I'm not going to flip it. He's like, I don't know anything about like contracting or anything like that. Wow. And so I just, like on my breaks and stuff, he kept on like popping up in my feed. And so eventually I was like, okay, like I'd always been kind of interested in the investing side of it. But thought that you had to have a bunch of money, be a GC, knew what you were doing, whatever. Right. So I hit him up and asked him about it. And then he just like spilled his guts for like an hour on the phone. He was like, oh, it's crazy. You can just get it under contract and then you're going to sell it off to a buyer and assign it over. And at first it all just sounds like maybe this is legit. Maybe this is not. Like, how do you find, I had all the questions, right? How do you find these properties and whatever? So crash course in that. This is 9 years ago, like pre a lot of meetups, pre a lot of like coaches and all that kind of stuff. And just went on like YouTube. I think it was like Sean Terry was like the guy that was like back then. Right. Yeah. So, learned stuff through that and just kind of started shooting my shot and putting out Bandit signs. Another guy and I that I worked with, my first business partner and I were like, dude, let's just give it a shot. Like, let's see what's going on. We didn't know what to do. Like we would put like sticky notes on abandoned properties. It was like, if you know who owns this property, call this number. And it was like a Google Voice number.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, somebody might call these or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But then the Bandit signs, they work. Like we'd get up at like 5 a.m. and just go put them out there and like stick them on the poles and everything like that. I would mostly drive. He'd hop out, do it, hop back in the car. And I had a truck back then and all the signs were in the back.
Did you wear a mask?
No, we just went for it. We never had any issue. Like we're at 5:30 and we're like, if the sign police are out this early, like
they really love their
deserve
job.
it. Yeah. We'll pay the fee. Like we get people that would be pissed off and be like, if you put it too close to a neighborhood or something like that. We had a few calls, but honestly, like that's how we got our first few deals was off of that. It was crazy. It was a leap of faith to put it out there. And in my head, I was like, I'm going to put the work in, but I doubt anyone's ever going to call these things.
Yeah.
And sure enough, like, they started to.
How far into it were you putting up Bandit signs before you got that first deal?
First call was honestly probably within like the first week.
Oh, wow.
Like people started calling pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then first like realistic, legit seller, like, hey, I have a house and that actually owned it and everything like that. It's probably within like 45 days.
Wow.
But we got a contract on it, but it ended up not like he was one of multiple heirs kind of thing. Right. So, but first deal from doing all that was probably, I want to say like, let's just say 3 to 4 months and that sort of thing. Had some ups and downs, had some people ghost us. Classic story of like the night before this guy or the day before this guy just stopped answering. And we actually went to his house that night with a mobile notary on standby with closing docs and like knocking on the door.
Wow.
And lights were on. He was in there like partying by himself or whatever, had music on, was, like doing his thing. You could see like his shadow going through the window and we're like, we see you in there dancing to whatever music you have on. He wouldn't come to the door. Oh. So, and I didn't know about anything about, like sending him a letter from an attorney or like a memorandum, anything like that. Yeah. Right. We were just like, hey, this is all going to work out. And it was probably like a $25,000 deal.
Wow.
So yeah, it hurt. It was just like got to that point, and then it just like we went over multiple other times, and I think he ended up selling it to someone else for like $5,000 more.
Oh,
so
that's the worst.
So a little bit after that, probably a month or so after that, we had our first deal. But that one was really cool because once we got it, I remember being at the house with the seller as all the potential buyers are like walking through, and we were standing by my truck just like talking, and I was like, okay, this is what they say to do on all these videos is ask if there's another property. So I was like, hey, Sam, I was like, is this your only property? And he's like, no, I have 2 others that I need to sell before I move back to, I think he was moving back to, I think it was like Vietnam or something like that. And he was like, I have 2 more I need to sell. I was like, hey, I'd love to. And he's like, let's get this one done and then we'll do it. And then we closed on that one, and then we closed on the other 2. So It was like all this build up failure. And then the thing where it's like, he might have 3 other properties, and it all like they're within like 30 days we did those.
Wow.
So that
was a good 4 or 5 months until you actually started making money. Those Bandit signs.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
How do you deal with getting up every morning at 5:30, putting out these stupid cardboard signs, listening to these guys on YouTube and like failure after failure, and stick with it for 5 months before you actually start making money? Like, what's going through your head?
I think at that point it was just like, if I'm going to do all this, I'm going to see if this really works.
Yeah.
Right. Even if we do 1 or 2 and we realize we don't want to do it, it's not for us, whatever. It's just like, if these other people are, because I kept on going to those meetups from that guy that introduced me to it. He'd do like a monthly in the back of like a steakhouse, like this small little room, and all these people were in there, and they were like throwing around numbers and talking about deals. And I was like, okay, maybe he's lying about it on his lives, but these 30, 40 other people probably are here rehearsing this and waiting for Pete to walk in the door, and then like, all right, fake stories go. Right. So
got him.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, if these guys are doing it, like something's got to give.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just, it was, I think at that point, it was just like, if you're going to put the time in, at least do one and then take it from there.
Yeah.
So I think it was just persistent. I think having someone to start out with helped like hold each other accountable and like, hey, let's really do this and push for it. And honestly, the craziest thing again for me was just the phone ringing, like people actually calling those signs and being interested. And I was like, this is because everyone drives by and stops at stoplights and intersections and sees like pressure washing or roofing or whatever, and probably is like, no one's ever going to call those, but people call those signs. Yeah. People get business off those signs, right? So once we started getting those calls and people were actually interested, I think that was enough to be like, all right, let's take it to the step to where we actually get a contract. Let's get one closed out. So I think it was just accountability, just persistence, and being like, let's just get one done and then just take it from there. But let's not give up on it. If it would have gone a year or so, can't tell you if I would have stuck with it. 4 or 5 months was long enough. But to me, it was just like, okay, I know sales works. I know being on the phone works. This side of real estate investing seems crazy. I've never heard of it, but all these people get together at least monthly and talk about it. Like something's got to give. So
how much of your sales training came into play when you were on the phone with these people?
I think a lot of it. Yeah. I think just having a conversation and then learning to the best sales conversations are usually when you talk the least, right? I can tell you how many times I've gotten off a conversation. I feel like I've talked for 10, 15% of the convo. And people are like, oh man, I really appreciate it. That was a great conversation. And you're like, yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
You got it all out there. You gave me everything you needed and everything like that. But I think I learned is just, it is, I mean, not to oversimplify, but it is a numbers game. You just not everybody's going to be a good fit, especially on real estate investing, wholesaling side of it. Like not everybody's going to want to sell at that price point or has that much motivation where you're a good fit for them and vice versa. So you can't take that part of it personal. Easier said than done. Some days will beat you up and are really tough. And some days you're like, oh, I'm the greatest salesperson ever, right? Like I got 4 contracts today or whatever it may be. But just staying persistent, numbers game, and just listening to people. Yeah. Like I took that into it, and that I think that translated really, really well.
Yeah. Nice. So you're still wholesaling today.
Yeah.
Obviously it's worked well for you. Just talk to me a little bit about your journey from that first deal to today.
So started out doing we did a few deals, and then pretty quickly we ramped up, we had good jobs. So that was a huge part of it, is we didn't go jump all in. I know a lot of people do that or think they have to do that, but I think there's a lot of, power or whatever, and not putting everything into it right away, where it's hey, if I don't do this in 2 or 3 months, I'm in trouble. Right. So we had our full-time jobs, we were making money, and then you have more hours in the day than you think you do. So it was we were getting up early, we were making our calls in our lunch breaks, we were calling people after work, that sort of thing. So we self-funded it, didn't have to take out any debt or anything like that for it. So that allowed us to, when we started making those deals, put it pretty much all back into the business. We're we don't really have to pay ourselves right now. Let's put it back in, right? So pretty quickly, within about 7-8 months, I got to the point where I was okay, I am to the point where we're missing out on opportunities, deals, one of us going out to properties because we're sitting at these desks all day long working for this company. So I was the first one. I was I'll jump ship. Right. I was I'll go do it. So we had a little bit of money saved up. We were getting some consistency in doing deals. And then, so I would say, again, it's been 9 years ago, so I don't know exact dates, but probably about 8 to 9 months in, where I was okay, I'm going to stop the 9 to 5 and go do this full time. Still had a business partner who was doing it. And then within about probably 3 or 4 months of me leaving, he hopped in and did it full time too.
Nice. And this was in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Only in Charlotte. So we did it only in Metro Charlotte, within 45 minutes to an hour, some Gaston, Iredell, Cabarrus, some other little counties and stuff like that around there, but primarily Mecklenburg. And then we did whatever, we went to some events, got super excited, and we're we need to hire more people. We need to blow this thing out of the water. And then within a couple of years, we're okay, now we need to go do it virtually and do it. So at one point we had built it up, probably within about 4 or 5 years of starting, to 12 people in office, cool office in South End, lead manager, acquisition, dispo, transaction coordinator. We were doing deals in Dallas, Houston, some stuff in Florida. We tried out Alabama for a little while. Like we were doing stuff pretty hot and heavy. I think our busiest month ever, we probably closed like 30 some deals.
Wow.
Like did pretty well. And it was all wholesaling, and that's when we got into double closing around 2020 around COVID, when all the institutional buyers and stuff started coming on the scene, and they wouldn't do assignments. And so that's when we were like, okay, I guess we have to buy it, turn around and sell it. Like we went 5 years with just doing all assignments, right? So built it up. That was our peak, is building it up to having that big in-office team and everything like that. And we were like, how can we do more? Like, where else do we need to go? Dabbled in multifamily just for a little bit, went to some events or whatever. Definitely got shiny object syndrome, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, I built this one thing from nothing and we did pretty good at it. We should be able to just apply that to everything else. And it's that easy, right?
Yeah. So easy.
Did some flips here and there. We would probably do a handful of flips a year where we'd find something and we're like, hey, if we just take this thing and put 20K into it and clean it up, like we can double what we're going to make, right? Never did any additions or anything crazy or new builds or anything like that. So that was probably our peak. So I'd probably say 2020 through 2022 is like the bigger team, not a massive team or anything like that, but starting with 2 guys and putting out Bandit signs to that, it was cool. Like it was a fun experience. It was a learning experience, but I think it definitely got me to a place where I am now, where I'm like, all that kind of stuff to me is, if somebody wants to do it, fine, do your thing. I never brought anybody in to kind of like run the day to day. Right. So it was always your hands in here, your hands in there, your HR, your payroll, you're doing all these other different things. And then you just get distracted, and then you just that holds you back from growing to where you're like, I should be here. I should be here. I should be here. So, but all that leads to what I do today. And like I said earlier, we had to do double closings when we were selling to these buyers. Right. And, working and trying to get that capital was like tough, because like hard money lenders, private money guys, they just, with double closings, they're just really weird about it. They're like, nah, we want to give you money. We want to make 3 points up front and then charge you 12%, whatever, and get our money back, whatever. Like they were just like, and we're like, well, no, we just need it for like 2 hours and we'll pay you like a decent amount. And they're just like, no. Wow. Right. So we had a lot of friction with that. We'd find a few people here and there that would do it, but it wasn't consistent, and they would change their prices or do whatever. And it was just like, we were selling, 10 or 15 of those a month. So after a while, it was just kind of like light bulb moment. I was like, if we're doing this many, how many of these are happening here in Charlotte? And then how many of these are happening in the bigger cities that these iBuyers are buying in? And then how many people are just doing double closings like nationwide? Yeah. And there's at the time, there may be 1 or 2 that you could kind of look into, and they would do pockets or regions, but not nationwide that I found or knew of. So I was like, man, I bet you I could make something super investor friendly. Buy an investor, like 4 other investors. Yeah. Right. So I just took the stuff that we came across and the hiccups and the bottlenecks and whatever with double closing, and try to like fine tune that. And put it together, and I started doing it for some guys locally here in Charlotte, trying it out and double closing their deals and stuff like that. And it went really well, and then just kind of took it from there to growing it out to what it is today.
Nice. Talk just for anybody that doesn't know, a double close. What's the logistics of that look like?
So I always tell people, I'm like, okay, have you done an assignment, right? You have a contract with the seller, you're going to assign it over to your end buyer. And whatever the difference is the fee that you're going to make. So if you had a deal for $200K and you were going to assign it over to me for $250, right? You have your contract with your seller. You're not going to be the end buyer that holds it, flips it, does whatever. Instead of just assigning it over, in this case, you're actually going to buy it from that seller and turn around and sell it to me as the buyer on the same day. So you have 2 separate contracts, one with your seller, one with me as the buyer. Your contract with your seller is for $200. Your contract with me is for $250. Now, on the day of closing, there's 2 separate sets of closing docs set up, but you need to execute the first one between you and the seller for $200 before you can sell it to me for $250. And a lot of people just don't have the capital sitting around to buy it for $200. Mm-hmm. So you would reach out to me and say, hey, here's the deal I have. Let me introduce you to the closing company. And then my team would have everything lined up. So on the day of closing, we would wire the money over, you would close for $200, and then turn around and then sell it and close with that second one for $250. So it's just back-to-back double closing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your timing of doing that was pretty important too, because wasn't there a law that changed during that time where you couldn't use the buyer's funds to fund your A to B closing?
Yeah, they used to call it like a dry double close or like pass-through funding.
Yeah. And
you used to be, when we first started, I remember people kind of talking about it. I didn't know what they were talking about, but you used to be able to do a certain attorneys would, and then one by one, they were like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we don't do that anymore. Yeah. And it's commingling of funds or whatever. There are still some people, or it's like some locations around the US where people will reach out, they'll submit a deal, and then they'll come back like a few days later and they're like, oh, they're going to let us use pass-through funding. Like, appreciate it. And I'm like, okay. I was like, but I'm like, when they stop doing that, just make sure to hit me back and we'll fund it for you. Because I think it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, you used to be able to do that.
It's pretty wild though. I mean,
yeah,
a little sketch.
Right. They used to do that. And then like the blind HUD statements and stuff like great. That. They let you get away with a lot, but it was like the Wild West back in the day.
It was the Wild West for a couple of years there.
For a little bit. That. Yeah. So, but, yeah, so that's just a double. The main reason you want to double close is just to protect like your profit. You know, like if you're a little unsure about the seller, as much as you prep them, right? If they sit down on the day of closing and they're like, Josh's company is on here, but they're not showing up as the buyer, but they're down here as a line item, and then next to that is $50,000. Like, it's going to raise eyebrows.
Yeah,
sometimes.
You're making $50,000,
right?
Yeah.
Even if you said, "Hey, you know, I'm not your end buyer in this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring someone to the table and all that kind of stuff, you know, or I'm going to bring some partners involved or whatever. I'm going to sign it over." You can tell them that all day long, but once people start counting your money, things change, and not just the seller, but a lot of times it's the end buyer too. That end buyer is like, dang, Josh got me for $50K on this one. Next time I do a deal with him, I'm not going to offer as much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've had buyers tell me that. I've had buyers be like, hey, last deal I saw that you made a bunch, like work with me on this one. And I'm just like, okay, but when you buy it, fix it up and sell it, are you going to do this? You're going to try to make as much as you can on the market. Right. Yeah. So it's kind of twofold. It's like to protect yourself from the seller having an issue with it, to protect yourself from the end buyer is a big piece of it. And then now with legislation and things like that too, it just makes it much more clean, like simple, straightforward. You're like, yeah, I am the buyer. Like, I'm using these guys' funds, but then I'm going to buy it and then I'm going to turn around and sell it.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people reach out. It's just, it's clean, it's simple. It used to be just on bigger profits, but more and more people are just like, hey, you do it at a great fee. You make it super simple. I don't have to use my own funds. So I'm going to use you on all the deals that I do moving forward type of thing.
Nice.
So
it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Why would you go into transaction funding versus just sticking with wholesaling? Because it sounds like you were good at it. You had, did 30 deals in a month. What's your thought process behind that?
Again, is just, it came out of necessity and like experience with it being so sloppy working with like one-offs and people like that. And it was that moment where I was like, I think there's a big lack for this in like the space. And I thought it was really cool and interesting too, to be able to provide like a service for like the wholesaling like community and everything too. Like, I'm not, don't come to me for like data. Don't come to me for like cold callers or anything like that. Right. Like, there's people that specialize in that. Transaction coordination is another thing that people like sell out there. They're like, hey, bring us your deal and we'll make sure it gets across the finish line. We'll coordinate it. But once I start packaging it and putting it together, I was like, man, there's such a need here. And I can kind of like give back and put something out there that's really strong. Again, from a wholesaler to other wholesalers was a big piece of it. And I just like being on that end of it and working with other investors. Like I still love doing deals. I still, love helping people out on the wholesaling spot, people in tight spots and everything like that. But in the last 2 years, the conversations that I have with investors and like, I really need this product. Can you help me out? Or I don't know exactly how to present this to title, right? Like we have the experience now. We've done over 250 of them. We've done hundreds of wholesaling deals. So we bring that experience to the table.
Yeah.
So having that, packaging it, giving it back and being able to help people out and then just having those conversations with other investors and wholesalers is really cool. Yeah. And it breaks up the monotony kind of day-to-day wholesaling and just being able to approach the investment side from something different is really, really neat.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Tell me about one of your best deals that you've done.
On wholesaling or
anything.
Okay. Let me think. One of the best ones we've ever done. We did one in Belmont on the wholesaling side probably 3 years ago. And it was not too far from Whitewater Center and everything. And a guy reached out to us from marketing. I don't know what marketing channel it was from. And he had a property. He was done being a landlord. Tenant was on their way out. And we got it at a really good price. I think we're going to make like probably 40, 50K on it. And we got it under contract, didn't even look at the parcel next to it. And so as we were like digging into it, looking into it, clicked it next to him and it's got half an acre that is on the corner and it's under his name too. So I literally just called him back and I was like, Mr. So-and-so, like we're doing the deal, we're moving forward, but like, what are you doing with that land? And he's like, oh, I don't know what to do with that. Like, I don't want to mess with it. I'm totally done with all this, whatever. And he's like, would you be interested in it? And I was like, sure. And before I could even say, how much do you want for it or anything? He's like, just wrap it into the deal that you already have right now. Wow. He's like, do I need to sign another contract, do whatever? And I'm like, we can do like an addendum and just add an address or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that with the house that we had was at an acre plus, and we took it at that point instead of just selling it as maybe like an investment property, whatever. The house was decent. Like somebody could have bought it, cleaned it up and made a rental. Like we ended up selling it to a builder and it turned it and bumped it up to like a 6-figure deal.
Nice.
By doing that. Just by looking in a little bit more is definitely a surprise. And then him just being like, yeah, I want nothing to do with it. So just asking a couple questions, digging into it, and then just letting him be like, yeah, I'm just like package it in with that or whatever. There's nothing I can do there with it.
That's awesome.
Like, oh, okay. So that one comes top of mind. It was just like really cool and just like a surprise for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Any of your like worst deals? Any ones that you lost money on or didn't turn out so well?
Definitely.
It's probably be more on the flips that you've done.
Yeah. That's I mean, with the thing with wholesaling is you can lose time, like you put marketing dollars into it, but if a deal doesn't get across the finish line, unless you gave someone some non-refundable or gave them some like moving money, like you're not going to really technically lose anything. Right. On a flip, I mean, we used to be super, super risk averse whenever we do a flip. So we almost always came out at least like making 10 or 15K, even when we thought we were going to make way more. But we did have one before where this was actually, we were doing stuff up in like Greensboro and everything for a little while. Again, shiny object syndrome. We're like, oh, if we do it here, we can do it everywhere. Right? We don't even really know that market. We have access to MLS, but that's it. So it was this weird thing. We got a property. It was like a 4-2 in like a cookie cutter neighborhood vinyl box. And we're like, we're going to carpets, paint, do whatever and be done with it. And we did that. But then there was something really weird in the garage where there was a makeshift jack like support in the middle of the garage, right? And lo and behold, it came in, like we found a buyer pretty quickly and everything. It sat for a while, and then finally we were like, let's just get a buyer, let's just break even, make a little bit of money, be done. They did their inspection, and that the inspector, then they had to get an architect out there and all this stuff. Like they were literally, I don't know all the intricate details, but they're like, that thing is janky, but if you pull that thing down, like there's no support there. You need to either run like an I-beam across it or put up some support in the middle of a 2-car garage, that sort of thing. Weirdest thing ever. And it ended up costing probably like $12K more. And then by that time, it took probably 2 more months to get everybody out there, get everybody to do what they needed to do. We were using private money on it, so it was eating that up. So it went from like, oh, we're going to make like 25, 30K on this thing to probably lost like 7K and just ate up time and back and forth and all that kind of stuff. From we only would do certain kind of houses. This was like 1990 or newer, super straightforward, nothing crazy, no 60, 100-year-old house or anything like that, to like a cookie cutter neighborhood with tons of comps, like, oh, this thing will move quick, and just like the weirdest one-off thing in that garage. And I'm like, this thing isn't that old. Like, how did they build it and get away with this or whatever? So, and just like the time and headache and all that kind of stuff that it ate up, I remember it was just a lot. So that one comes to top of mind. It's just like frustrating. Something that you think is going to be quick, and it's an ego killer where you're just like, so.
That's probably the thing that hurts the most.
Yeah.
I mean, losing $7,000, that's a lot of money to lose.
Yeah.
But it's just the bruised ego. That's the.
I think it keeps you in check a little bit too, right? Where you second guess or double check the next one before you do it. But
it only takes a couple of losers before you start to create more check boxes in your process.
Right. 100%. Definitely. Because if not, you're like, oh, I got this. This is fine. This takes whatever, and I'll be round off the numbers for materials, whatever, like we'll be fine.
What's this weird bottle jack in the middle of the garage? No, it's nothing.
Literally. Yeah. Someone just did that. It's probably not even necessary. Don't even look at it. Right.
Oh, so
just dumb stuff. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, that brings up a good conversation. Like, how would you classify your level of risk tolerance?
More and more is I am trying to be laser focused on what I do and don't do, because I still chase stuff. And I am like on the wholesaling investing side.
Yeah.
And I have a really small team. So my business partner and I split ways last year. We're like, hey, we got to this point. We've made good money. We've changed our lives. We've done really cool things, right? But you're starting to go this way. I'm starting to go this way. How about now, instead of like phasing it out or whatever, like, let's just, are we cool? And it was like one of those conversations that you have to have. It's like being in a relationship. You're like, we've been together for a while, but you're kind of that way. I'm kind of that way. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, no more office in South End. No more, like, our team had slowly kind of been whittling down. Like, it was almost like organically where people could kind of probably like sense it or whatever. And so at that point I was like, I'm still going to wholesale because that's like my bread and butter. I just started doing the transactional funding, right? So I was like, I'm still going to do this, but if I'm going to do this moving forward, like, I am going to be super intentional, try to be super picky, and like keep it small and lean, right? Because that's after dealing with all that for years and years, it's just like, if we're going to make this break or whatever, like, now's the time to like clean slate it.
Yeah.
So since then, I've just tried to I only do mailers. Like, I've done so many different marketing channels over the years. And now I was like, mailers are expensive, but when people call in a mailer, it's one or two things. It's, don't ever mail me again. Like, this is offensive. And I'm like, why would you not just rip that up and throw it away? Or they're like, hey, like the one I'm dealing with right now, I live in Maryland. I haven't been in my townhouse in like 6 months. I'm going to mail you a key tomorrow so you can walk it, and I'll sell it to you for like 60% of like market value.
Wow. Just
like crazy. Like, hey, I got this piece of mail. I'm going to call you. It kind of like takes me back to the Bandit signs where I'm like, I believe it because I've done it for years, but I can't believe people will get something like that in the mail and call it.
Yeah.
Right. And right now we actually send like checks. Like, at first I thought it was super gimmicky. I didn't like it, but the company I use is like, these are our highest performers, run with them and give us like 3 months and you'll see. So it's like a check with an estimated value on it, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So all I do is that. I don't cold call. I don't text. I don't, because to me, that's like filling up your CRM with people that are like, maybe. With a text, people are just like, they tell you what you want to hear on the phone. They'll tell you that to get out rather than saying no. Right.
Yeah.
So I have a really small team. And I just do Mecklenburg and Gaston County right now. And I will I have a lead manager, and they will sift through everything, and then they'll tag me in the CRM. And I'm back to, I haven't done it for years, but I'm back to like calling people and then going on appointments and doing that. Nice. Right. And I have to talk to them. There's no like, oh, just go and check it out or whatever. It's like, no, we have to have a conversation. Right. So very like picky about who we try to work with and get deals with. And then the other side of it is on the transactional funding is, working with people that have both sides of it under contract. Because we get a lot of people that reach out and they're like, hey, I'm working on this deal. Can I submit it over? And we're like, we need you to have a contract with a seller and a buyer, and then request and then like send it over. Yeah. Right. Like not just chasing stuff down. Like we want to help. I'm here to answer questions. We work with like a lot of newbies. We bring experience to it, but just being super intentional in what we do and like putting blinders on with that is so I'm not chasing like multifamily or commercial stuff or like land development and all that kind of stuff before, where I'd see something. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. You make a lot of money, and hey, I already do real estate. I could probably do that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But ever since 2 years ago, just being like, hey, if I'm going to still wholesale because I love doing that and it's a great money maker, I'm going to do in my own backyard where I can go out and set foot on the property and see it. And then if we're going to do transactional funding, we do it nationwide. Like we'll fund tiny deals. We fund really multi-million-dollar deals, like big deals. But we just ask that people, we have a set process on every single deal and we stick to it. We don't deviate or variate from it.
Yeah.
So just to be super intentional in that. So not to get distracted and eat up time with other things. So
what do you think has caused that big shift in your focus to feel like you're just like, I'm just doing these two things and I'm doing even with your off-market acquisitions, just to do one marketing channel?
Yeah.
That takes some discipline. What do you attribute that focus to?
Just years of chasing a lot of different things and being spread thin, and you can get worn out with that as much as you love it and you're like grateful for the opportunity. Like if you're going after a bunch of different stuff, after a while you sit down at the end of the day and you're like, did I get anything done?
Yeah.
Or did I just try to learn something new for the sake of it?
Yeah.
Right. And just like not having that focus, but then having some coaching, seeing other people put that into effect in their life and their business and having a lot of success. And I just started reading a book. It's crazy because more and more I'm like, be intentional. It's The Science of Scaling. And it's talking about like so many people just don't get to that max potential, or they don't get to where they feel like they really could be because they're distracted by 20 different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like if you're a company that does photography, that you do like baby photography, and then you do wedding photography, and then you do Renaissance fair photography or whatever, you think you're diverse and you're getting all these different clients or whatever, but it's just like spreading you out to a bunch of different stuff. But if you're like, hey, I'm only going to do headshots for business professionals and that's it. And then like that, they have to come to the office and this is what I'm going to charge and this is what I'm going to focus on. That's what I'm going to market toward. Like you're probably going to see growth. And then you have to set like a really big, crazy goal with that. But the reason to set that goal is because you don't have time for anything else. Anything else comes into like your orbit. You're just like, nope, that's not going to get me to my goal. Yeah. Right. And you're going to go out of your way to make the relationships, to do the things that you need to do to hit that, but you have to be super focused. So right now I wholesale and I do transactional funding, but I could see in the not too distant future of being like, okay, I want to hit this crazy goal with transactional funding with double closing. So maybe after a while, like I can't focus on wholesaling.
Yeah.
Right. Even before I rationalized, I was like, I'll just get an acquisition person. I'll just build a small team, but that's still going to eat up a bunch of my time. Right. Like they're still going to be calling Pete to ask him for the final authority on, do we move forward on this or not?
Yeah.
But if I really want to, like the transactional funding is really taken off and it's exciting. It's cool. Like I said, I love talking to other investors and helping them out. If I really want to do that and get in front of as many people as possible nationwide, it's probably eventually going to take all my focus and energy to do that, to build those relationships and all that's going to come with that. Right. So that, I think one thing has led to another. When you first start, you just want to get a deal done. And then you're like, how can I do that more often? And then you're like, how can I build out a team so I don't have to do it? But the bigger team I had, the more I got pulled in different directions and did different things too, right? So I'm happy where I am right now, but even now I'm like, I can feel myself getting pulled here, there, in different places like that. So I'm just trying to be like, gotta focus, gotta stick with it. I don't want to be here 9 years from now and I'm like, yep, still doing these 2 things that I did 18 years ago that got started.
Yeah.
Right. It's been great and it's life-changing, but there's more to it. So.
I think there's like the myth out there too that people think, and I don't know where it comes from or where the origination is, but millionaires have multiple streams of income.
Right.
Meaning like you got to be doing this and this and this and that. And most of the people that I know that are uber successful, like they did one thing.
Yeah.
And it's like plumbing.
Right.
Or like electrical rough-ins on houses or flooring. You know, it's like these very not sexy things.
Yeah.
Like transaction funding. It's not very sexy.
Right.
You know?
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, no offense.
Yeah.
But like that one thing, you just focus on that and you're doing it on a nationwide level.
Yeah.
And you get plugged in with some really good operators nationwide. I think you have the framework of something that could be very successful.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
But I agree with you as far as like the distractions of being pulled in different directions. Oh, I'm going to do land development. I'm going to do new builds. I'm going to do wholesale. I'm going to do rentals, all this stuff. You only have so much time and so much capacity. And if you're being pulled in all those different directions, you're just chasing these rabbits. You don't have the time or the freedom to focus on that one thing and do it really, really well.
100%. And then you're kind of doing your team a disservice, your clients a disservice. You know, like I the transactional funding piece at first was just like communicating with the closing company, sending a couple emails and then wiring money to grow from that to now we have like third-party verification on all our wires and we have our process with everything that to build it out what we've got to. Like that took time and that takes energy. But then to make it even more streamlined, to make it is like safe and risk averse as possible, like you have to be intentional and you have to talk to people and get feedback and input and everything like that. So if you're distracted by 3 or 4 other things throughout the day, you're never going to get around to that, or it's going to take much longer than you thought.
Yeah.
But then if you step back and you're like, okay, all that stuff that distracted me, was that even revenue producing?
Right.
Or did it even make me happier or smarter or better at what I really want to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been interesting, but I'm only like a quarter way through that book and it's already like aha moment. But there is definitely a test in that where they're like, you have to drop all that other stuff. And the big part of it is to set a really big, unrealistic, massive goal, right? Like if I'm like, I want to fund 300 transactions in a month would seem insane right now. The most we've ever done is maybe 30. So like 10X. But just like you were saying, like, what if I got plugged into some operators, or what if I got plugged into certain like wholesaling software, whatever, like websites and that sort of thing, and became the go-to, right? Like pretty quickly, who knows what that could lead to. But the only way that's going to happen is to have that goal and be intentional and just focus on that. So yeah, I think all those years of experience and ups and downs and highs and low and just like proof of concept have led to the spot where it's at now. And I'm grateful for all of it. Like to be pulled away from a 9-to-5, to have financial success that it's brought, to be able to like help out family and go on trips and build a house. And it's like, it's crazy. It's amazing. And just the mindset shift of like, not to sound cliche or cheesy, but like anything's possible. Cause I went from seeing a guy on Facebook Live being goofy in front of a camera to where I am now, just because of like following through and like sticking with it. Yeah. Right. And then you see other people's success that are like 10 steps ahead of where you are and get inspired by that. That mind shift set in itself is worth all the heartache and all the ups and downs and the highs and lows of it.
You could still be in a ditch being a plumber.
Especially in the summertime, all the time when I drive by and you stop and like, especially like I live in Plaza and right by Noda, and they're always doing like road work and everything like that. It's 100 degrees out and those guys are like geared up and everything. And I'm just like, if somebody's got to do it, I respect the crap out of it. But I was like, I am so happy that I know that there's other paths and ways to not do that.
Wow.
Right. And I've dug ditches and I've served tables on a Friday night when everybody else is out having a good time and everything. And you're like, I'm going to be here for like 5 more hours and do all this stuff. Like, I've seen those sides of it. I think about it all the time when I go to restaurants now. I'm like, I'm so happy on a Saturday night. Like, now I go really early too, though.
Yeah.
I'm definitely that dude where I'm
4:30.
like, I'm like, do you guys serve dinner yet? Because we would love to just sit at the bar, eat, and get out of here as quick as possible. But I think about that all the time. But you have, like, that gives you perspective and you have to go through that stuff. But I know the other side of it and like really, really hard like work and stuff like that and not being compensated that well. But, you know, I'm grateful to have the opportunity that this is afforded for me, but that again inspires me. I'm like, okay, there's other levels to it too.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't get there by just doing the same stuff that got you to this place. So been at it for almost 10 years and had a lot of success with it, but definitely trying to be super intentional and just taking it to that next step and level. Easier said than done too, because you're like, I got it pretty good right now. It's you know, and if I'm going to abandon certain things that are guaranteed money makers, you know, am I willing to do that? So it all sounds good and it's cool to read it in a book, but then like the next step is like implement. Yeah. So we'll do a check back here in a little bit and see how it goes.
Nice. All right. So what are some of the most strategic financial relationships that have helped you get where you are today?
That's a good one. Give me an example.
Like, you met a guy who is your private lender who funded your deals. You met a mentor who taught you this, you know, to help like shaping.
I would say most recently with the transactional funding, it was all self-funded. It was all my own capital for the first probably 6 months. And that definitely limited me to a point where it's just like, okay, I have this much set aside. I can probably do these many deals in a day. I want to blow this thing out of the water, but the last thing I want to do is turn people away if they start requesting. Even if you just run a few ads and people hit you up, you don't want to tell them, sorry, I can't do it, right? So then that side of it was interesting continues to be interesting to ask people for money and like invest what you have going on and to trust it as much as you do. But I would say actually a relationship I have right now with somebody that I met at Collective Genius at CG, and someone that helps me with data and everything for my wholesaling company, I started talking to about the transactional funding side, and they actually are my primary capital partner that fund the transactional funding deals. Nice. So I have my own capital in there, using his capital. And then the backup capital that I have for larger deals over $1 million is somebody that I wholesale deals to, a builder in Charlotte.
Nice.
That does it.
Yeah.
So, and just having those conversations and being like, hey, this is what I do now, by the way, and here's, you know, I've done this many so far. Here's my process. Open to whatever makes you comfortable. But would you ever be interested? Nobody says yes at first.
Yeah.
No, everybody will tell you how cool it is. Everybody will tell you how risk averse it is. Because with double closing, it's literally you quadruple check those wiring instructions. And like I said, we use a third party company now where everybody has to input it and they're responsible for like correct stuff and they confirm things. That's the biggest piece. You just got to be careful with wires and stuff like that. But we don't fund it on the day of closing till everybody's signed. The end buyer's funds are in escrow. And then it's not like we send it to the investor and like, here's $250,000. We trust you, like go close with it. It's like, it's going directly to title or the attorney, that sort of thing. Even with it being super risk averse and people hear that, they're like, oh, that's so cool. Like, it doesn't matter like if it's a great deal or not, or makes sense. You're just like, no, we don't fund it unless everything's there. Biggest piece again is that end buyer puts their money in escrow to show that they're not backing out. They hear all that. They think it's cool. You said I can do, you know, multiple of these a week and blah, blah, blah. But they're still like, yeah, let me think about it.
Yeah.
Right. And they're just like, oh, let me talk to my partner. Let me talk to my spouse or whatever it may be. And you're just like, yeah, but I need that money like tomorrow. So having those conversations, you're just like, but again, I think watching other people on YouTube or Instagram and hearing their stories and their origin stories and raising money. Like you just have to get so used to know that it doesn't bother you, but eventually someone will say yes. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened in wholesaling. And that's what happened now with putting money together, capital and stuff like that. So just those relationships that when I first started them, it had nothing to do with them like giving me money to be able to fund these deals and do more deals. Yeah. Right. These are one of them's more recent. One of them's from years ago. And just being able to ask, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I didn't have all these this performance portfolio or just like a pitch deck or anything, just a conversation. And then I'm really good at follow up too.
Yeah. Like if you're going for that big goal that you've set, do you need to keep raising money to be able to help, create a pool of money to just keep investing?
That's the one part where I'm like, where I'm just like, oh man. I actually put together a fund with another guy's help where it's just kind of sitting on the sideline. Mm-hmm. All the docs, paperwork, we went through all that. And then this one guy stepped in. He's like, I'll work with you one-on-one and do it for the next year. And then let's take it from there.
Nice.
So we have that set up. And then, eventually, unless someone I would love it to be just a few people step in and they're like, hey, we'll do it. Right. But if not, then we have the fund available and we have the terms and everything set up there where it's like, okay, if it's 5 people, 10 people, 20 people, whatever. But there will be like another round of definitely if I want to do something crazy like 10x or more what I have going on now, I don't have the capital to be able to do it. So it's gonna be some conversations of like, how can we make this work kind of thing. So,
and who knows what those conversations will lead to as well.
That's the thing. I think it's scary and intimidating, and also like, here come a bunch of no's again. But then one person's going to be like, cool, not only will I fund it, but have you ever thought about this? Yeah. Or I can make your life even better by doing this. And that's usually what ends up happening. And then you look back and you're like, I shouldn't have been such a baby to go out there and raise it and ask questions or whatever. Right. But it's another humbling thing though.
Yeah.
Right. Because now you're like, when you wholesale and stuff like that, you need money to market, but anything else, you're like, I'm good. I got it. Like, I don't need anybody else's help in a sense. Right. You're doing something like this where it's like, okay, now I need another $400,000 or $500,000 to be able to do X amount more deals a day, fund them. Now I got to go out and ask people for like their hard-earned money and hear a bunch of no's, but then be open and receptive to people will tell you no, but give you feedback and be like, hey, next time, maybe you cut out all the other stuff and just lead with this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like you don't have to overwhelm people. Just make it simple and on to the next one. If it doesn't work out, right, just take feedback. But it's always whenever you step into something different like that, you just have to be open and your ego is going to be bruised. You're going to be humbled a little bit. But if you step back and you're like, hey, this is all for the better and part of growth, and you're doing something that you're not used to, then it ends up being good for you. But it's easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So obviously you've had a successful career so far. Looking back from where you started, how has real estate changed your life?
Oh man. I would say multifold. Again, the mindset change. A lot of people in this space are super positive, have an abundant mindset, which is really cool. Not coming from not having a lot of money, right? And thing you even when you're younger, like, oh, that's expensive. I don't know if we can do that. Like I grew up with like 3 brothers, and like my parents, like just to get groceries and things like that, I can't imagine how expensive that was. Right? We used to go through a gallon of milk like a day kind of thing, or 2 gallons, and just like boxes of cereal and all this stuff. So I just always remember it being like, okay, like we're fine. Like we had a great childhood and everything, but it's like, can't do anything extra. Can't have all that, or that family over there has it, or that person has it, but it's just not our thing. And so it's you kind of automatically like a little limited. Right.
Yeah.
But I always remember just being like, well, how do they have that? And how is that possible? And just being open to that. And then just being in this space more than anything else of, like that's possible. You can do that. Or there's like 10 different ways to do a deal, and there's whatever. So it's just the abundance idea of it, and that it's there's always an opportunity there is huge. You can always kind of like fall back on that. And then just, I think, not having to do something for the rest of your life that you don't want to. So many people are stuck in like 9-to-5s and things like that are just like, I've been there. I've worked at places. I used to work at the bank and talk to people all day long on the phone about their 401k, and the day would just like drag and just so long, and you have to ask for PTO and like a lunch break and all that kind of stuff. Now to be able to be out from that, as simple as that seems, every once in a while to have a reality check and hear other people talk about like, I'm almost at a PTO for the year, or don't know if I can go do that because of work stuff, that sort of thing. Forever, ever grateful for that. Yeah. I joke around all the time. I'm like, it's like breaking out of prison. Like they'd never take me back alive. Like I would never but you don't, too, once you're in this space too, like again, nothing's guaranteed. You still have to work for it. It's still tough. There's still ups and downs and highs and lows, but to know that there's something outside of that, and it's possible, and you've achieved things, and you've done things, and you've proven to yourself that it's just like, I don't know. It's definitely like mind altering, life changing in a sense. That's a big part. I mean, there's obviously the financial side of it too, right? Like to be able to go on trips and do things that I've done, and to build a house exactly in the neighborhood where I wanted to, and things like that. Like I never ever would have been able to do that as a server, as a plumber's assistant, maybe if I owned a plumbing company or multiple, and then to be able to help out and things like that with family and everything is really, really cool. So I think, but trade all of that in for the mindset side of it. Yeah. And just being able to know that there's something outside of just like daily monotonous 9-to-5 type thing is really, really huge.
Good stuff. Well, if people want to keep up with you or are interested in getting some transaction funding, how do they do that?
Social media. Pete Russell Official is Instagram. Just newly today on TikTok.
Whoa.
Yeah. You're talking to a millennial and an elder millennial that's on TikTok. So I have a little team now that like does content stuff for me. Yeah. And I pushed off TikTok for so long, and they're like, you have to do it. Yeah. So look me up on there. I think you just look me up by name. I think that's what it is on TikTok. But that, or people can just reach out to me directly. Like people call me, text me all the time, or go to my website, velocityadvantagecapital.com. And there's a number on there. If you call it, it'll funnel straight to me. Nice. And so people will call in, they're like, are you actually the guy that we saw and whatever? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. Like you can call me.
I'm Pete from TikTok.
I say, yeah, I'm Pete. I'm the only Pete on TikTok. So you can hit me up on that. But yeah, dude, people give out their number. You just direct number.
You can if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 980-254-8288. That's my direct number. People can call me, text me. Right now, as we're growing and everything like that, if people have questions or anything like that, like I just answer it directly and just want to help out. Cause like I said, we deal with people that have done hundreds of deals, but a lot of it is like newer, or it's one of their first times double closing. Mm-hmm. And that's a big piece of it, is they just don't know what the process is. Yeah. But once I can kind of explain it to them, and I'm like super simple, straightforward, they feel way more comfortable with it, and then they'll move forward with it. I think a lot of people think that they have to have like great credit, or I'm going to ask them how many deals they've done. And I'm just like, no, if you have a deal with a seller and a buyer and you're getting close to closing, submit it, hand it over to us, and like, we'll get it knocked out.
So. That's awesome. Sweet. Well, thanks for coming on today.
Cool. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thanks.
That's all we've got for today's show. If you loved the content, please leave us a rating and review. It really helps us grow. If you want to follow along my journey as a real estate investor, you can go to builtforwealthpodcast.com, and you'll find all of my social links there. Thanks for listening. Nailed it.